Welcome or welcome back to my art channel. How have you been? Have you been creating or trying out anything fun? I wanted to experiment with my Paul Rubens Macaron oil pastels some more, so because I have a very simple sense of humor, a Paul Rubens master study seemed like the perfect fit. Actually, my very first video on this channel was a master study sketch of Paul Rubens' Venus. Back then I said how I'd love to give this portrait another try, using oil pastels. And now, nearly 4 months later, here we are. So welcome to this Paul Rubens study. I started with the warm grey, nearly green Yanagicha, as well as the cooler grey Kachi, to sketch in the overall form of the face. You can see that I drew guidelines on the face to find the position of the eyes, nose and mouth relative to each other, and it was easy to later just layer other colors on top of those lines. This is a stage of sketching that I like to compare to starting a puzzle. You know, just like how it gets easier once you've assembled all the corner and edge pieces, a drawing is easier for me if I have guides like this. Now, the Macaron colors are very limited in color range, focusing on soft, muted pastel tones. While I filmed all individual swatches for my art haul video a couple months ago, I've made some more close-up, detailed colored swatches towards the end of this video, showing which selection of colors I used for this portrait. I wanted to narrow down my color palette even further than the Macaron selection to see how far I can push these oil pastels. Would they even work for portraits? I chose a very muted color palette that I thought looked nice and harmonious together, with some more saturated colors to give me more flexibility. The Paul Rubens painting of Venus has a warm red tone overall, and I soon noticed that true reds or even deeper oranges were very much absent from the Macaron color selection. That meant a deliberate color shift, replacing the darkest and warmest hues with a color equivalent. If I've learned anything from looking at other artists' work, it's that the actual color hue is the easiest thing to shift. As long as the light values are consistent, you can adjust your color palettes to suit different moods or to convey messages. So I was happy to just go ahead and see how this color palette would work out. While I've used the Paul Rubens oil pastels on top of my Mungyo oil pastels for blending, I hadn't yet drawn anything with just these. I was a bit worried about how messy they'd be, but their softness made for an amazing sketching experience. The white oil pastel in this set is amazing, pretty opaque and easy to blend too. The white also gets sold separately as a set of just 6 white oil pastel chalks, which I'm actually quite tempted to maybe one day get. The Macaron colors actually have a great range of light yellows and beige tones, so the lighter parts of her skin were a simple color choice to make. I don't recommend this box of oil pastels for portrait painting in general though. The colors just worked out for a very pale white woman's skin tones, with cool undertones here instead of the warm ones of the original. Overall, this color selection is much more targeted for the painting of florals or decorative patterns, maybe some cute beverages or desserts as the name implies. And personally, I use these colors much more in combination with my other oil pastels than on their own. But as the Paul Rubens oil pastels are very large and chunky compared to Mungyo, Neocolor or Sennelier, they are great for quickly filling a page, or for laying down rough colors, and for creating a base to mix with other oil pastels. So I do actually reach for them quite often. In this video, I also wanted to say thank you to everyone who followed, commented, or even just watched my very first video months ago on YouTube. That was such a warm welcome, and I really love filming these little projects. Capturing some beautiful moments, some messy ones, and maybe also showing the realism of everyday life as an artist, where not everything goes right, and some paintings, like this one, are just weird experiments, done for the joy of painting or sketching, with no greater goal than that. Thank you all so much for the support. I'm excited for several future art videos that I've already filmed, and hope you'll enjoy those too. Some final thoughts on this sketch. This was a quick and fun little painting, and I think it used the strong points of these oil pastels quite well, from soft blending in some areas to more chunky and expressive textures in others. Oil pastels are a great medium for spontaneous art, and I'd love to do some more master studies like this one in a variety of color palettes. What kind of painting do you think would be a fun challenge to try? For the hair, finding a good color fit was a bit of a struggle. There are no reds or browns in this set after all. In the end, this restriction led to my favorite part of this sketch, using gold oil pastel for the blonde hair. The slightly rougher texture of the golden color, with its glitter pigments, made for an interesting contrast with the creamy, soft rest of the portrait. And I love the subtle sparkle it now has. That's what I like about using limited color palettes. Sometimes I discover fun, visually interesting options that I would never have thought about if I had access to a full color range. Overall, this portrait is a bit messy and I didn't manage to capture that softness that's so typical to Rubens' art. But I had so much fun experimenting, blending and layering colors. You can find some of my oil pastel art turned into stickers, as well as other prints in my shop. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in my next art video.